If you were lucky enough to be chosen for the testing of the game and start playing, you'll find yourself in what's called the House of Night. Here you can either practice within its courtyard, select a character and get a feel for them, or play a match, but not before adjusting your settings to either play casually or competitively with ranked matches, if you like a challenge. By the way, there will most likely be bigger differences between these two modes once the game's fully out, just like how the House of Night is set to later allow you to customize your character and serve as a location to progress quests. In the settings, there's also the option to disable teaming, team up with a second player throughout the whole game, or to just give anyone the freedom to either team up or not, wherever, whenever. Lastly, this game has 4 distinct sigils that don't do that much right now, but remember, this is an early version of the game. You've got the sigil of the Eye of Morales, sigil of a sworn enemy, sigil of love ephemeral, and the sigil of an old friend. The first 2 have you hunt down a player for a reward, while the latter 2 reward you for forming an alliance with a player, through either just finding them or finding them and proposing with a gesture. That's right, you can get married in this shit. Now, what is this supposed reward you get for doing these? Virtue! What's virtue? Everything. The whole game revolves around it, for this is a Smash Bros like battle royale of a Souls game where 8 players join a match that lasts around 30 minutes and devour the shit out of each other alive for virtue. This resource that's awarded to you for doing basically anything, but I'm getting ahead of myself. When you start the actual game, you have the option to go, "Where we dropping, boys?" and select a portion of the map you'd like to spawn in. By the way, that doesn't mean you'll have full exact control of where you'd land, just control of the general area. Also, this map, which is the only one we got the privilege of seeing, is called Lowenro City. There will be 3 maps total in the full game, thus making up the entire region of Duskbloods, which is said to be called the Land of Dusk. Said 2 other maps will also probably vary wildly, given that this game is all about the convergence of humanity's different time periods and customs. Anyways, in total there are 4 rounds. In the first and second, you'll just be doing the usual, collecting items, killing enemies, leveling up, maybe hunting down a player or 2, or teaming up with them, which I still haven't fully explained. Instead of just subtly deciding to work together, one of you actually has to send the other a request they have to accept for the game to start splitting both of your earnings between you. And believe me, it's worth being with someone, otherwise you'll fight a boss or trespasser like this guy, or this thing and start whipping up anger in a kettle. But let's say that doesn't happen and you actually win. In that case, aside from the virtue and levels, you'll be rewarded with this game's version of dormant powers, aka powers of blood, which could increase your stamina, healing, blocking, attacking, etc. But another way of growing stronger is finding these doohickey doozits, I don't know. What they do is infuse your weapon with 1 of 4 elements: poison, fire, lightning, and iron. From the looks of it, the former 3 will function the exact same way they do in Sekiro, where they're all status effects that either damage things gradually or damage and stun them immediately. As for iron, probably just makes your weapon deal more damage. I mean, honestly, what else can it be? An element that summons the Mercury Demon? What's that? You want virtue from something other than beating people up? Well, there's plenty of these burning purple statues things that give it to you just for finding them. You know what else you get just from exploring the map? That's right, gold spires, baby! They're basically golden thingamabobs that give you a kin for discovering them, which are a type of NPC summon. But unlike summons in previous games, these guys do more shit the longer you have them and level them up, and even stay with you forever. Except for when they die and leave you hanging until their cooldown is up. Not to mention that you can only have one, so leaving them for another summon automatically deletes them and their levels. Anyways, there's 8 different summons. Baritone, who sings to give you stat buffs and suplexes enemies to death Godfrey style. Undead Morlo, who's said to brag about how good he is at not dying while attacking randomly and apparently poisoning people. Nia, who power stances katanas. Gunslinger Beatrice, who... Okay, I'ma be real, we don't know much about her, but from my research, it seems like she's gonna be a kind of Wild West cowgirl that sprays and prays. There's Valentius the Unwise, also known as Godskin Noble's wife, who rides a fuck-ass crib, bites and whips people to death. Thaumaturge Avistor, who uses fire, and not much else from what I've seen. Black Wolf of Mars, who has low HP, but makes up for it by being really fast and just gnawing on them bitches. And the Gargoyle, who's a snake lady that stands completely still and heals you. Also, from what I've seen, she might also give you a defensive boost at higher levels. Also, why did they have to make her a stationary victim, man? Look at her! That's someone you hug instead of murdering just because she was summoned by someone else. Alright, now it's time to talk about the 3rd round. By this point, there should be 6 players remaining, as after the end of of the second round, the 2 dudes with the lowest virtue get eliminated, or culled as the game refers to it. During this third phase, everyone minds their own business as usual before this clock on the top right corner of the screen that's always been there to give you a sense of time suddenly goes, "Enough! Go here and kill each other, no!" Before the map shows you the location by pissing on it, so you can warp to it and indulge in chaos. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that so long as you're outside of combat, teleportation anywhere is just a thing you can casually do. Anyways, chaos. When you're in the free-for-all arena, you can either get gold stones or redstones! Redstone Minecraft! The redstones give you more virtue from killing players in this location, while the gold stones give you more virtue for getting these golden cross thingies. After fighting for long enough, the round should end with only half of the players remaining, aka 3, and the other half, well... And now we've reached the end. Phase 4 is the last round where everyone beats each other up until there's only one victor standing, with each player having 2 lives, full access to their summons, abilities, everything. And after all that arduous work, your final reward is... Moon Juice. Oh, I forgot to talk about this earlier, but if you're worried about the game getting redundant, the Duskbloods has its own version of shifting arts, where a tarot card has a chance of popping up before a round starts. You could either have this prowling sword lion blimp appear, giving everyone 1 free tactical nuke to use whenever and wherever, or one where a bunch of these bloodsack flies appear, giving you big boy upgrades to your character's abilities if you kill him. Or one where you climb a clock tower to ring its bell, which I imagine gives you virtue or something. Or one where stars fall from the sky and you have to collect them for a reward, which is most likely virtue as well. Or you can have a big fuck off thunderstorm that goes wham and swaps the positions of players around. It may also teleport players randomly, but I'm not exactly sure. Another thing I completely forgot to mention was that apparently sometimes things don't end in bloodshed and terror, but rather in you working together to take down a big boss, Nightreign style. Okay, the only thing that's left now is the characters, which I've left till the end cause boy is there a lot to unpack here. First of all, it's said that the full game will have 10 characters instead of the 6 that are currently playable, 3 of which could be these guys you see on the screen. From the looks of it, each character will require stamina to perform every action except for attacking, which costs nothing at all. All of them also possess some kind of melee weapon and a ranged side weapon, plus a shield they could block with. Each character can also jump, air jump, super jump, and dash, and additionally howl at the right time, resulting in them dealing giga damage to players and in the case of lesser enemies, completely bewitched. Every character also has 2 Bloodsworn skills and 2 aspects, but from my research, the second skill is only unlocked after reaching a certain level, which varies depending on the chosen You know what? I'm just gonna call them Bloodsworn as Miyazaki intended from now on. Now let's look at them individually. Albert, aka John Duskbloods, is basically the wilder of this game. His skill allows him to fire multiple blood blades out of his hand, and their damage scales off of his blood caliber, which is probably a type of stat in this game. Another skill lets him go, "I'm a fire in my leg," while his aspects let him stagger players with higher virtue and get additional uses out of his skills, which probably means he can use more skills more often compared to the average Bloodsworn. His primary weapons are a gun and curved blade. Bloodhand Jan's skills let him fly up into the air and nuke the fucking world with his blood like he's Malekith, and dodge better by using his blood, which is probably the game's way of saying, hey, you gotta sacrifice your health to use this. His aspects give him what is basically Malenia's Great Rune or the Bloodborne rally mechanic, as in he recovers some lost health if he attacks soon afterwards. At least, I think that's how it works. His other aspect lets him heal and boost the attack power of bewitched or spellbound enemies that are on his side, which potentially includes himself. His primary weapons are his blood-drenched axe and a stone that lets him cast fire magic. Orin of the trying land skills make her completely invisible, similar to the Duchess in Nightreign, and also give her the ability to summon the fucking Sekiro snake. Her aspects allow her to bewitch multiple enemies at once and be less easy to target, which I imagine is just a fancy way of the game telling us that logging onto her is slightly more difficult. Her primary weapon seems to be this water circle she can either hit people with or throw around. Layla's skills seem to allow her to turn into a bunch of flies to do a kind of super dodge that gets the enemy's attention away from her and also turn into a fucking machine gun. Her aspects give her a longer lock-on range and natural regeneration till she's at half health, but at the cost of gold blood stakes naturally healing her less, which are probably this game's version of healing flasks. Her primary weapons are these guitar-like blades and a sniper rifle. Samir's skills let him summon a blood stake out of the ground to hit whatever you're locking onto and transform into a goddamn dinosaur. His aspects give him extra attacks upon perfect guarding and make him require less levels to use all of his skills. But wait a minute. If that's the case, why do you need the same levels as the... Okay, take the picture I threw at you with a grain of salt, because his primary weapons are a thrusting sword and a ring he can summon spectral birds from. And finally, we have the legend Zork, baby. I love Zork. I'm Zorking it. His skills let you turn into a godforsaken rocket, flying and bashing anything skull open if you landed on an enemy, and fire rockets from his back because of course he can. His aspect lets you gain more max HP every time you kill a player, unless you lose to said player, in which case you lose the extra health and your aura. His other aspect seemingly gives you an easier time when trying to roar parry, and if it doesn't, then I don't fucking know. His primary weapons are a spear gun and a giant bumfuck metal pipe with electricity on it. Alright, I believe that is now everything. Of course, there's probably gonna be a lot more news about this game coming soon, and in that case, I'll make another video following this one, but right now, this is goodbye. Just kidding, bitch! I left the most important detail till the very end, because apparently, there's an item in the game that functions like an alluring skull. You throw it at an enemy's general direction and watch as they're distracted by the most horrifying sound of all.